Welcome to Pharmacovigilance Podcast. I'm your host, Julia Appelskog, and today we'll speak about transforming benefit risk assessment with AI. I have two guests in the studio, Romain Clément and Olivier Merle. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Olivier Merle. I'm a pharmacologist by background. I've been working in the industry for the last 25 years. I've joined Arca Science a little while ago, basically support the company to spread the word through the world and definitely in the industry.
And hi, I'm Romain Clément. So I'm the co-founder of Arca Science. I'm a AI scientist, data engineer, and was a scientific data management system lead at GSK for a while, and for building this company and building all of the AI models that are currently automating a great deal of the benefit risk assessment journey.
Perfect, thank you. So we are going to talk about benefit risk today. Why is so important, benefit risk?
Well, benefit risk is is really important in terms of evaluating continuously the potential of a drug. Well, at the moment, it's not something that is used as a tool for making sure that the drug remain best in class across the clinical trial. It's more like a support where you have most of the information related to efficacy, toxicology, and safety issues that are just reported to the regulatory authorities. But what we think at Arca Science is that it's really something that should be pivotal during the clinical trials, because it bears most of the strategy and key orientation that has been decided in the first place to build the protocol and to make sure that the drug has the correct orientation during the clinical trials. We've developed all of these models to make sure that it is the proper, as I said, pivotal study and document to help these clinicians.
You already introduced your tool or your company, Arca Science. Can you explain a little bit more in details about this tool?
Well, we started working on AI developments since 2017-16, before even creating the company, because we are AI scientists at heart before creating the company. And we're very lucky that in the last few years, and especially last year in 2025, there were a great deal of new regulation that came out and recommendation that came out related to benefit risk evaluation. So we sort of worked a lot with the people that wrote this recommendation and the recommendations to make sure that we can provide the best platform to streamline the benefit risk assessment using a structured approach, what we call a structured benefit risk assessment, SBRA, and then ending up with, at the end of the process, with a benefit risk assessment document. So our aim, our job is really to be able to streamline any kind of data points that is relevant for doing a benefit risk assessment out of our own database, which is the biggest benefit risk evaluation database in the world. We have 100 billion data points that are related to action of drugs and potential evaluation for a trial. Platform integrates clients' data as well, data that the client have access to and wants to see in their risk assessment in the end. So, for instance, yesterday we were discussing with a client, and they currently are using like different tools and database to browse standardized information to then filter them out and evaluate them and disambiguate them and then put them into a common standard that the regulator will be able to evaluate, which is a huge work, which most of the time is done by ROs who are hired. So what we're proposing to them whenever we show them our solution is that here there is like very simple steps. You go through these 8 very simple steps. There's a great deal of human in the loop in these 8 crucial simple steps, because the strategy related to the benefit risk assessment is something that only the clinicians, safety specialists, regulatory specialists can implement into the tool. Only cut like the tedious part, like the signal detection, drug interaction identification, comparator as well, a key point to make sure that the strengths and weaknesses of the drug that under development are still very vivid across the clinical trial. It's 8 simple steps based on the structured benefit risk approach to end up with a first benefit risk assessment after a few minutes, and then involve every people across the organization that has an impact on these crucial documents that goes smoothly as possible.
Well, quite impressive. So to understand what would be the input for the marketing authorization holder if they want to work with your solution, what's the sources, what's the input for the benefit risk?
Yeah, the inputs are everything that you require to be able to build a robust benefit risk assessment. But first, let us have a first test And this test is what we call a blind approval. We screen with our own database the mechanism of action of the drug, the disease, the standard of care, and then we deliver, fine-tuning they want out of the benefit risk assessment, a document that is extracted out of our system. So that at that moment, they can compare with what they have on their end. And at the time, we managed to show them that with only our own database, which is public data, which is usually non-structured, pretty dirty in terms of annotation, coming from our partners as well, and synthetic data that we managed to generate with our client, and which are by these clients, multiplied between 9 times and 100 times the amount of key indicators, so key risk and key that they have to consider to move forward with their clinical trials. We provide something that is proven as comprehensive. They notice on their side that we have provided everything that they already have highlighted, so we didn't miss anything that they have highlighted themselves on their end, and between 9 times and 100 times more. 9 times is usually when there's a lot of data, 100 times is because there's very little information, and the fact that we can identify critical information, key risk and key benefit based on the mechanism of action of the drug, and not based on its name or the disease, for instance. Our approach way more comprehensive, way more interesting to have a prospective approach. For instance, with Sanofi, the prospective approach was we see ahead if mechanism of action of our drug will trigger some kind of thromboembolic risks, and they weren't able to really assess this with certainty. And with the supplementary amount of information that we provided, they could do it before the phase 2 and save a couple of million.
You did mention clinical trials a couple of times. Do you also use the tool for the post-marketing data? Right?
Yeah, actually, it's currently being used by ICON for that, for the safety identification, safety modeling, and signal detection. And it's even more relevant in post-marketing because there's way more data, obviously. Normalizing this is critical to have a homogeneous approach to safety, and this is what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we covered the input to database, and what's about output? What kind of documents you're able to produce as output?
Well, a simple answer. Well, this is going to be a short one, and basically with what you're producing on a daily basis, with weekly basis, DSURs, PSURs, management procedures, guarantees, ARIA, and we generated a couple of other kind of studies. So clinical landscape study, for instance, which is a study that highlights the unmet need that you want to address with your clinical trial, with all of the competitors' performances, strategic choices in their protocol, so endpoints, proms, clean rows, and so on and so forth. We produced a safety signal detection study as well, or report, to help you have a highlight every day or every week, and kind of or critical information that can alter the benefit risk of the drug, both from your drug, from the standard of care as well, so that you can have a sort of overview of the landscape and of the positioning of your drug.
Okay, so we can use for the PSUR, for DSUR, RMPs, and you adjust the template for different RMPs and different of the world.
We do this systematically. It's part of the statement of work of the template is critical. We work a great deal with the safety specialist, with our client, with the operators of the platform. Highlight the AI that we developed. We developed a lot of them, like 24 AI models. So
Okay.
why did we do this? Is because one AI model is a big black box. A lot of small AI models first do the job with a high level of certainty, of efficacy, of comprehensiveness, and there's no black box. So you know what they do, the threshold of qualification, we can move it, and you can have access to the entry data and to the output of the data. The good side of that is that the operators on the other side can crunch the information themselves, can select the information themselves, can adjust the weight of the signals themselves, of the key risk, of the key benefit, and so on and so forth. So it's critical to have this template adjusted and to involve the operators as much as possible, as early as possible in the process.
Okay. You mentioned signal. We need also to cross-check with vigilance data. Is there any way this connected, or how it's connected? Practical way?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, we're connected, basically. It's as simple as that. Infrastructure is about delivering the solution to your side. Usually it's a bucket from whatever cloud that you're using. and then connecting the APIs and having the structuring engine system that involves 12 AI models, not more than that, 12 AI models that does the structuration to make sure that you have the data coming from all of these sources in one spot, while still being able to differentiate them by sources, by all sorts of different criteria which are critical for you to work with.
Perfect. Thank you. So can we also address the risk with using AI? Because I know our listener is also interested in this topic. You already mentioned the human oversight. It's important. And can you provide that example how you managing risk?
So it was a critical question we asked ourselves before even creating the company. In 2018, we created the company, and before that, we really wanted to make sure that what we would be able to provide would be something that the regulatory authorities wouldn't be able to. And this is why even currently, now that we're speaking, the MHRA is a solution, and we have great feedback from them. AI system, the biggest problem of AI system currently is about hallucination, obviously. And hallucination just is not as visible as one can guess. Sometimes it's just like something that when he says that a cow is purple, obviously, then you can see it. But when it's very subtle, and most of the time it is, then it's a big problem. When the sources are not providing, then it's a big problem. And 90% of the time, when you ask a question to a generative AI, 90% of the sources are not providing and are provided, and on 10% remaining, only between 5 and 2% will be non-hallucinated data. So obviously, choosing the right AI system, choosing the right AI architecture is critical. So first thing, we didn't choose a transformer-based AI system. We chose to develop our own architecture, which is based on other kind of architecture, which is and associate all sorts of different AI model to be able to process the information, give a systematic, trustworthy outside of it, means above 95% of end qualification and comprehensiveness. In informatics, overall, it's easy to be comprehensive. You can use like system saying like take the MEDRA and then highlight everything that fits with these words. And then everything is an adverse event, for instance. Well, the problem is that in the MEDRA, pregnancy could be considered an adverse event, for instance. So if you're using this, you're comprehensive, but you're not precise. And so our system we're trained to really alleviate that and even eliminate completely these risks. It is evaluated with the traditional system of evaluation. You have a noisy source. For instance, we know what should be taken out of this noisy source of information, all of the seriousness of these adverse events, and so on and so forth. And then the system runs, and we see what comes out of it. If there is false negative, false positive, and what is the threshold qualification. And we do these tests every couple of months to make sure that it remains above it. We do the blind approval, as I said earlier. So every client checks if we include what they have highlighted on their end with their CRO team and so on and so forth. And do specific, as I said, we built specific inside the system, built-in specific, so that if you feel like the system is too sensitive, then you can move the qualification threshold to sort of a little bit more of, for instance, in the earliest phases in preclinical, a little bit more of the that could show potential toxicity problems, for instance.
So, question from my side: did you have any audit inspections with the system? What were the main questions? How did it go? Did inspector had any comments?
Did we go through an audit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, basically, every time we sell and we reference as a preferred vendor by our clients, we go through this. So. It sort of happens a lot, and we just came out of a fundraising for $7 million. So our investors triggered an audit, technological audit inside of it, and all sorts of other audits which are not very interesting in this discussion. But we had engineers from they took our solution, they set it up on their own servers, run stress test out of it, and then every year, obviously, we have an escrow that does the exact same thing. Take our solution, test it, and to our client that it is of the quality that we tell them, qualification in terms of rendering and so on and so forth. It's really critical for some of them because even if we are well funded currently, solution to a giant like Icon or Sanofi or AstraZeneca. They make sure that if someday we have a problem, they can still use the solution. So it's what we provide at the same time when we are dealing with these clients. This system, all of the documentation, if anything happens, it can run smoothly and you can still have the result that you're expecting out of the system.
Thank you. So last question from me is maybe if you provide from which AI tools you use in privately. So what's your favorite AI tools that you use in private?
That I'm using in private? Oh, wow. Well, I'm using a lot of AI system.
Free. You can mention free.
I like Claude. Because of engineering perspective, it's one of the most regular, stable in terms of results. And I like to explore the new ones, moving from one to the other very, very quickly. So everything currently in health, I'm testing. So coming out like Health currently, asking out. Gemini is going in health. But I'm really, really expecting groundbreaking out of is the AI models coming from AMI. It's a new French startup that has been created a couple of months ago. They raised $500 million. Models are going to be the one I'm going to be preferring out of all of them, because I know the limitation of the technologies that these companies are using, Claude and Anthropic and so on. I know the limitation of it. So I'm always a little bit critic of what they're providing. But I feel like AMI is going to be solving a lot of these problems.
Great. Oliver, what's about you? What's your favorite AI tools for private use?
Well, I've been, AI for different purpose, the health segment, and the ones that Romain just mentioned, and also one of them.
Thank you. So thank you very much for being my guest in the studio today and bringing your insight and a very impressive solution that you have described. And for our listener, where they can find you?
Yeah, well, find us on LinkedIn, ArcaScience.ai. We just updated our website next few weeks. So yeah, feel free to send me a message. If I may, Julia, I can leave you with one anecdote last time. All right. Quick anecdote about AI efficiency. There's one test that I like to talk about in this kind of situation, which is called the tiramisu test. It's a serious test. It's currently being using across all benchmarks that are been that are being used for showing the of the AI models. The test asks all of the models, what is your preferred dessert? And there are 4 options. There's tiramisu, then there's cheesecake, then there's a chocolate cake, and then there's a 4th one. I don't remember the name. Problem is that 80% of the answers goes for tiramisu, which shows the level of the bias training set. The bias when you use the question, which is one of the preferred dessert. So this is a quick way and very, very evocative way of showing that, even if the model seems more smarter and smarter, the tiramisu test shows that there's still a lot of problems related to the training set. And it's not because it doesn't say a purple that the cow is purple, that it's not hallucinating. It's not biased a little bit. My anecdote.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Thank you for sharing your insights, and for our listeners, stay in touch, stay safe, and stay compliant. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
From desk to